Today we're talking about discovery. Now, when some people think of discovery, they think about treasure maps and adventures. When attorneys think about discovery, we think about the obligation to hand over the evidence to the other parties. As part of your investigation, you collect evidence, whether it be drug screens, police reports, medical records, or even photos of the home. And when you collect that evidence, we have an obligation to hand it over to the other parties, whether we want to hand it over or not. Whether it's helpful or not, we still have an obligation to hand that evidence over. A great example of this is, let's say you go to a home and take a picture and everything's clean, so you think, well, I don't need to turn this over because I'm not going to rely on it. Well, just because you're not going to rely on it doesn't mean the other parties might not want to rely on it. They might want to show the court how clean the home was. So that's why you have to hand over everything to legal so we can hand over everything to the other parties. If we don't turn over evidence, that's what's known as a discovery violation, or in legal terms, it's known as a big no-no. I have a real treat for you guys. Just last week, I had the opportunity to go out with a CPI and film them in the field doing their work. So I want you to check it out. Welcome to another episode of CPIs in the Wild. And what we have here are some CPIs in their natural habitat of the streets of the Fifth Circuit. As you can see, the CPI is intensely analyzing the evidence they've acquired, and they're trying to determine whether or not they can use it as part of their investigation. The CPI is unsure, so they decided to set up a staffing with their supervisor. The CPI and supervisor go back and forth determining whether or not this evidence can be used as part of their investigation. Ultimately, they decide that it's not useful, and so the CPI buries the evidence in the ground. The CPI should have turned the evidence over to legal and let CLS make a determination whether or not the evidence should be handed over to the other parties. That's why it's so important to always make sure you hand over all the evidence you have to legal.